Hey, everybody. I am really excited to introduce a good friend of mine here today as our guest, Kashaun Parker. We are talking about the world of self development, personal development, leadership development. Kashaun, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Dean. I'm excited for our conversation today.
Yeah, this will be great, and I'm looking forward to learning. Let's get started with an understanding of who are the people that Kashaun helps? Tell me about your audience. Tell me about the work that you do, the problems you solve. Give us some flavor for that.
Yeah, sure. So primarily I work with women and they tend to be around the ages of 35, I say to 40-ish. I mean, they have gotten some pretty good foundational work done as far as they're establishing their career. They have started a family, but they realize there's just some underlying development work that they want to do or that they need to do. And we just partner together to work on things like time management, motivation, perseverance through, resiliency when things come up, when the inevitable happens. We work through just dealing with some of those things. So when I find myself on stages, that's usually what I'm talking to of how to persevere, how to keep going, and what that looks like in your day to day life.
Oh, that's very cool. So, important work. Um, I'm guessing there was a journey that you took to get to the point where you said, "This is who I want to help, and this is how I want to help them." Tell us a little bit about that journey.
Yeah. So for me, the journey was, um, I hit my rock bottom. Right. Got to a space where loss was prevalent, and I got really curious about winning. Well, what I learned was in order to win, you have to become or be the best version of yourself. To do that, you have to put yourself in a certain position. And as I began to do the work, I learned just the many different um, areas in which I was forced to face myself, right? The things that I was believing about, my story and where I come from, or it was the story that I was telling myself in my career and getting out there and making the career leaps that I wanted to make. I realized that every one of those obstacles, I was met with the current version of myself. And I said, well, if I'm going to win, what does win look like? And win for me looks like, meeting myself with those obstacles and challenges, being really honest and transparent about the what is, and then just starting to do the work. And what I ended up doing, Dean, long story short, was I hired a coach. And as we went through that stretching and pulling, for one, accepting my journey and my story of where I come from, then to just really developing and sculpting this version of Kashaun, I was like, what did you do? And, how can I do that? And that just was the birth of me wanting to do what was done, so masterfully in me, do it for others. And so that's what I spend my time doing.
That's an amazing story because you not in your words, I did the work and then realized that there was something else going on that helped facilitate that work that the coach was bringing, and to have the awareness to say, I want to do that.
Yeah.
Whatever it is you did, that's what I want to do to help others have the same experience I've had. And there's a saying that says, the person that you need to help is you of 2 years ago. And that's what
Yes.
kept coming through in what you were sharing in your story was finding the people that have the awareness that there's work that I need to do. Now I need to find maybe a guide for this journey of this work. And that's really cool. When you say that, there's some, you want to know what was the thing that coach was doing that helped me to get where I wanted to go. What did you learn? What were some of those insights as you embarked on that journey that you found that can be or is so helpful in that coaching relationship? What are some of those main things maybe that seem to make such an impact on you?
I think first and foremost, it was having someone to meet me where I was and not even where I expected myself to be. I thought that was most insightful because when I looked at myself, here I am. And at the time I was in my late 30s and I'm thinking, I should know this stuff already. I should be here. And so I started putting all of these projections on what I
Mm.
thought I should be doing. And she helped me just kind of dismantle that. And so that's one of the first things that I do. And then what she did, just so eloquently was she helped me to understand the key pillars in my story. The fact that I had to just overcome so many obstacles, as many of us do. I think, everyone here has something that they've had to go through, in their life. And it's a matter of perspective and how you use those things that shapes the future. And when she did that, I was just like, oh my gosh, like it was perspectives that I had never had before. It was a way of accepting, not victimizing, not punishing myself, but just saying this is what is. And so those are like the foundations that I do when I speak. I speak from that core piece of it's okay wherever you are, you're okay. It's just now, what do you want to do, and how do you want to move forward?
Mm. And that last comment there seems to be such an important one because it can be really easy for people to hear a message that says, you know, however you are and whoever you are is just fine. And then they don't hear the second part that you shared. And that is, now what do you want to become?
Mm-hmm.
These are not exclusive things, right? We can say you are okay and you can have a dream to be more and better.
Yes.
And let's talk about that. And all of the creativity and the energy comes in the gap. What have you found um, in those relationships, whether it's on stage or in the one on one work that you're doing, that is most impactful for people as they embark or as they begin awakening that journey? So you find yourself on stage, you are speaking to maybe before we get into that, tell us a little bit about the groups that you speak to and some of the messages that you share from the stage.
Sure. Yeah. So I speak to women in empowerment. I speak to women that are widows because I myself am a widow.
Mm.
I speak to single mothers groups because finding myself being a widow, I'm also a single mom. And so what I try to do is submerge myself in those communities because rather than to preach a message or to say a message, I want to be the message. I want someone to look at me and know that I've been where you are. So I'm not just telling you something from the mountaintop. The willingness to go in there and get in some of those scary places and talk about some of the things, I think is what really sets me out. It really shows, my uniqueness. I thought that when I started doing this work, that was a key thing for me. I didn't want to just go on any and every stage. I wanted to be able to touch the ones that I've had to touch. I've had those, extremely dark nights, and you're questioning and you're wondering, are the choices that I'm making, they don't just impact me, they impact my children. Are they the right decisions? So when I speak to a woman that says, I've got to figure something out for my kids, I get her and she'll get me, right? And it's key just for that relationship bonding piece.
So, being on stage, having hundreds of people looking at you while you're forming thoughts and sharing messages, I'm going to say this is not normal, right? That's not a normal instinct for people to say, I want to get up on stage and have everybody stare at me while I talk. What for you was the inspiration or that kind of propelled you to say, I want to be that person on stage, and tell us about some of those lessons to that stage.
Sure. Oh my gosh. So I think it was probably about 3 years now, that I was just kind of asked an invitation to share my journey, much like what we're doing here. And I was terrified. I was like, wait, you want me to do what now? And I just kind of laid it all out there. I said a quick prayer. I'm like, okay, if this is for me, I'm going to own it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to give it my very best. and then just leave it all out on the floor. And that's exactly what I did. And I shared my truth, I shared my message. And then I was thinking, oh gosh, I completely screwed that up. I was just all over myself. Okay, I'm being fully transparent here. And what I received though in return was some tremendous feedback that says, I thought I was alone. I thought I was the only one. I didn't. And so I was looking at that like, Kashaun, this is bigger than you. And then as I did more reflective work on the moment and the stage, I was like, I think this feels right. So let me test it a little bit more. So I started joining communities that would get me involved in public speaking. I did Toastmasters first, which I'm still a member of, and then NSA. And so I said, those are my pillars. Those are my foundational pillars to get me maybe outside of my comfort zone and to hone in that expertise. And so I worked those two platforms just kind of simultaneously to get me beyond my fear of public speaking and to really sculpt and craft my message in a meaningful and impactful way that helps me to accept my journey and help someone else along their journey.
Well, that first thing that you said about, I'm just going to get up there, I'm going to leave it on the stage. That is the essence, in my experience, of having an impact on the audience, is saying, I'm going to be more concerned about sharing my message with each of the people in the audience than I'm going to be about how I look or how I sound. It's right. It's there in the role of service. I don't believe you can be an impactful speaker if you aren't there for the sake of serving the audience. Because that's the paradox is it's not about us,
It's
right?
bigger
It's
than
not about
us.
us. It's about the audience. We are a conduit, and your
Yeah.
special journey that you've been through is there to be able to help the people in the audience. And so, bravo for ultimately the courage to step out into that invitation and then being able to hear, hey, there's more people that need to hear this. And so that's really cool. And I've always enjoyed our conversations and the work that we've done together. And definitely communities like Toastmasters, NSA, our own NSA Illinois chapter, is all about community. How has community been helpful for you on this journey?
Oh my gosh. So it has been, I like the words to really describe it, especially when I joined NSA. I didn't know what to expect. And so I was kind of nervous. But when I showed up, and I think it was back in April to the first in-person event, and I was just met with so many warm and welcoming individuals that were experts in their craft. I mean, it was really easy to get lost in where I should be, just being around such masterful people that are experts at what they do. But what I learned and what I found out that evening was alongside those people, there was a willingness and a helping hand that I don't think I had experienced before. And that was what spoke to community for me. It was those that were like, here, let's have a one-on-one. Let's talk about it. And let me show you who else. I think you and I just kind of met through an introduction from Meg Bucara, right? And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, oh my gosh, I am so excited. And for me, that's big. I mean, it means the world to me to be supported, to be nurtured, and to be uplifted along this journey, because you don't do it by yourself. I don't believe we do anything alone. And this is just one of those things. So I'm just forever grateful for my NSA community.
And it's an important lesson for us that whether we're speakers, whether we're entrepreneurs, it's important for us to find that community, whatever that is, because in your words, this is not a thing you do by yourself. And if I work in a corporation, we kind of are naturally installed into a community, right? You've
Mhm.
got other coworkers and you've got other people that you're working on things with. But solopreneur, working for yourself, speaking, coaching, training, those types of businesses can be fairly lonely. And so having a community that you can learn from, the NSA community is so generous with lessons and coaching and support. People that have been down every path that we might be going down. that are excited to lend a hand to share
Hmm.
with on that journey. And that's the spirit of Cavett as a part of what makes NSA so special. So I'm excited to have you a part of the journey here and a part of our community. I know that you are helpful and have been helpful and will continue to help others that are entering that journey as well. So if people are interested in connecting with you, learning more about your work, where would you direct them? Where can they keep in touch with Kashaun?
The best place is my website. There you'll find my social handles as well as a link to book time with me. Nextstepforwardcoach.com is that website. And I look forward to more connecting.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining me today, Kashaun, and for sharing your message. And I look forward to a great, bright future for you and your clients.
Thank you, Dean. Thank you.
Cheers.
All right.